I think that the president was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom.
The White House is lacing into the BBC over its airing of a misleadingly edited clip of the president's speech on January 6, 2021. We're going to show you side by side. Oh, it wasn't a mild edit. It was a complete regeneration of the truth. The president's lawyers, external lawyers, have threatened to sue the BBC for $1 billion if they don't get a, quote, full and fair retraction by 5 p.m. today. 2 of its top executives resigned over the scandal at the BBC, saying it sent Trump a personal letter of apology and will not re-air the documentary. And it adds, quote, while the BBC sincerely regrets the manner in which the video clip was edited, we strongly disagree there is a bias, or a basis, I should say, for a defamation claim, end of quote. Now, here is the BBC clip and Trump's unedited remarks from that day. Watch.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women, and we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Look at how different those clips are. And what the president said there on the original tape was reportedly some 54 minutes away from what they chose to edit on to the tape and then over his words and put in a new section, changing the meaning, changing what would look like more their purpose than his. Podcaster Joe Rogan with a blistering takedown of BBC.
It seems like these people felt justified for completely lying because it would lead to an ultimate good. So they lost all journalistic integrity. And it is the BBC, which is like the height of journalistic integrity. If that doesn't show the rot of mainstream corporate-controlled media, then nothing does. Right. Because that's pure rot.
Fox News political analyst now, Lisa Boothe. Lisa, when you look at that tape, I mean, it's you can't even say that it's a mistake. It looks purposeful, or maybe it was.
Well, it looks like election interference, right? So they rip out what he said in the interim there, which is he said peacefully and patriotically. And then you jump right to fight like hell 54 minutes later. What do you think the objective was here? And they dropped this right before the 2024 presidential election. They were trying to paint the picture that President Trump intentionally incited January 6th by lying to their viewers. And you can look at the 2024 presidential election, Harris. It was really the tale of two edits. You look at what CBC did to Kamala Harris. They edited her word salad to try to make her look, competent and coherent. And then you look at what the BBC did to President Trump. And then this is reinforced by the Media Research Center finding that this was the most biased election we've ever seen in history. And was it worth it for the BBC and CBS? They both have faced financial pressure, resignations, and guess what? President Trump is in the White House. Meanwhile, trust in the media is at an all-time low. So who got annihilated here?
All right, next topic for us. The liberal media continued trashing Charlie Kirk 2 months after his assassination. And during an interview this week, Katie Couric, remember her? Katie Couric tried time and time again to get Pennsylvania Democrat Senator John Fetterman to bad-mouth Charlie Kirk. The senator refused to take the bait.
A father of young children was shot in public because of his political views, and that's a tragedy, and give people the space to grieve.
Do you think that flags should have been flown at half-staff? Do you think his body should have been flown on Air Force Two? Do you think he should have posthumously be given the Presidential Medal of Freedom? I think some people felt that that was perhaps over the top in terms of mourning someone like Charlie Kirk. How did you feel about that?
I'd say that was his choice and his prerogative, and that was really entirely up to him.
Did you have any issues now in hindsight over some of the things that Charlie Kirk said and some of the rhetoric he used during his life?
I didn't agree with much of it. I didn't closely follow his specific kinds of views. That would never justify what's happened.
Lisa, what's your reaction?
Why does it matter what Charlie Kirk's rhetoric was? He was assassinated. He's dead. What is her intention here? Is she trying to imply that somehow Charlie Kirk had it coming, which is what we've heard from a lot of people on the left, and even worse than that, some celebration from the left? And I would argue that the media is actually to blame for a lot of the violence and the discord we've seen in the country, particularly when you were following that live coverage of what was happening in Chicago. The media has claimed, they've lied about some of these ICE arrests. They've lied about the fact that ICE has arrested the majority of the people that they've arrested have been criminals. You can go back to the lies about Michael Brown and hands up, don't shoot that led to this war on cops because people thought that cops were just going around and gunning down unarmed black men, even though the statistics didn't prove that out. Or you can look at what happened to President Trump and the assassination attempt against him. I mean, the media lied about what he said about Charlottesville. He explicitly condemned the neo-Nazis and the KKK, but the media lied because they wanted the viewer at home to believe that somehow President Trump is in bed with the KKK and the Nazis. So the media owns this environment that we're living in, and it's time for them to wake up and start being honest with the American people.
Well, look, I asked the audience, do you remember Katie Couric? She was a long-standing journalist, first with NBC, and very well known for that. You ask what was the intention here. It is a great follow-up question. We'll see if we ever get to ask her that question. Lisa Boothe, thank you.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.